The League finds themselves scattered to the wind as the Eradicator and his Daxamite army have laid claim to the Hall of Justice. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Justice League issue number 41 and find out together. So, picking up from where the last issue left off, the Daxamite army is taking control of important points all over the globe, readying for the ultimate eradication solution. Always with the eradicating, this guy called the Eradicator, baby. If he just asked nicely, the people would leave. I mean, I would leave if the only alternative was, to be eradicated. The Justice League isn't taking this newest failure well, and in classic fashion, they decide the best course of action right now is to blame each other for their shortcomings. The real salt in the wound of this situation has to be that the Eradicator and his forces took over the Hall of Justice, meaning he literally kicked the good guys out of their house. He's probably taken upper deckers in their toilets, moving around stuff in the fridge, real villain shit. To make matters worse, the Eradicator also just so happened to kidnap Wonder Woman, who is covering the escape of everyone else. The Eradicator gets creepily interested in her Amazon biology, figuring that her genetic material would make a great addition to his next generation of super soldiers after these Daxamites, have to eventually end up resorting to incest because there's not enough. Luckily, Sodom Yacht, the good Daxamite who started all of this by trying to warn the League, was still on the property and was able to swoop on in an attempt to save Wonder Woman. Now, like a good Scooby gang, the Justice League decides that their best course of action right now would be to split up. John Stewart takes Madame Xanadu up into space so she can get a proper magical circle going. Xanadu actually taking a moment to lampshade how stupid it was in the previous issue to bring her in as a magical ringer when the leader of these Daxamite super soldiers was a robot. Geez, lady, don't you start poking perfectly valid holes in the proceedings. If so, I'm gonna have nothing to do for the next 3 to 5 minutes. And while that's going on, Superman goes to the Hall of Justice to help extract Wonder Woman and also to get the Eradicator and his army to follow them. This is all part of a much bigger ploy, as we discover, involving the Flash. Naturally, Barry Allen can run so fast that he can end up actively influencing time and space. I mean, he really shouldn't, because if it goes wrong, you end up with a Flashpoint-style scenario. But just the implied nuclear threat of going back in time and stopping the Eradicator before he can even get started is enough to get the big nasty metal man to focus on the Flash and only the Flash. Barry leads the Eradicator and his forces on a light-speed chase all around the city before eventually heading off into space, the idea being that when you're moving that fast, sometimes it's hard to know exactly where you are in relation to other things when you're not a Flash. This means that by the time the Eradicator and the Daxamite super soldiers realize what's going on, they're on a whole other planet with Madame Xanadu ready to snap them up in her magical circle. The hope being this time the Justice League actually remembers what they did wrong in their previous encounter and can make sure they don't make the same mistake twice as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Justice League issue number 41, everybody, and this issue, much like this new arc so far, has been perfectly serviceable, just not that exciting. It feels like an alien invasion story we've seen 100 times in the Justice League books. It's just, this time the aliens are of Kryptonian origin. Credit where credit is due, Vendetti does really seem to want to try and make it so other members of the Justice League can be important and help save the day, like Flash and like Green Lantern, so it doesn't always have to fall on the shoulders of the Trinity like it seems to do in so many other Justice League runs. It's also clear that there's attention being paid when it comes to developing the character of the Eradicator, who begun wanting only to save Krypton but has now grown completely past that to wanting to do better than Krypton. But for some reason, just none of this is clicking for me, and I'm not exactly sure why. Overall, I would give this one a 6.5 out of 10.
Hey there everyone, Cape Jewel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.